Do you ever wish you could step back into your childhood for just one more day? Growing up in California in the 1980s was a feeling like no other. A time of endless sunshine, carefree afternoons, and simple joys that left a mark on our hearts. Today, we're not just remembering the moments, we're bringing back the 10 flavors that made that time so special. Forgotten tastes, hidden memories, and the sweet reminders of a California childhood we'll always miss, even if we didn't realize it at the time. There was something magical about pulling off the highway and finding a little roadside stand bursting with baskets of fresh strawberries, peaches, and cherries. In 1980s California, these stands weren't just stops along a trip, they were an essential part of the journey. The fruit was sun-warmed, sweet, and often eaten before you even made it back to the car. For a California kid, nothing tasted better than a handful of fresh picked berries after a long day of adventures. Those simple moments, sticky fingers, sun in your eyes, and the perfect bite of a ripe peach are memories that no supermarket can ever replace. On a hot afternoon, few things were more satisfying than grabbing a big stick from the ice cream truck. With its bold swirl of cherry and pineapple flavors, it was the ultimate summer treat, dripping down your arms faster than you could keep up. The first bite was a rush of sweetness, a flavor so tied to California summers that even now, just thinking about it can bring you back to sandy feet and endless skies. The big stick wasn't just a popsicle, it was a reminder that the best days were the ones spent outside, chasing the sun and living in the moment, one sticky, melting bite at a time. There was a time when bringing home a loaf of real San Francisco sourdough felt like bringing home a treasure. The tangy, chewy bread was unlike anything else, toasted, buttered, or filled with a hearty soup. It captured the flavor of Northern California itself. No trip to the Bay Area was complete without a stop for sourdough, and no childhood memory of visiting San Francisco feels whole without it. It wasn't fancy or complicated. It was simple, comforting, and full of character, much like the California we knew back then. Even today, the smell of fresh sourdough can instantly transport you back to foggy mornings, bustling piers, and the excitement of seeing the Golden Gate Bridge appear through the mist. For a California kid in the 80s, few things felt more rebellious and satisfying than biting into a messy, overloaded Wiener Schnitzel chili dog. It wasn't just food, it was an event. You knew you were in for it when the chili spilled onto your shirt and your fingers stayed stained long after the last bite. It didn't matter. The mix of spicy beef, melty cheese, and that soft, slightly squished bun was pure happiness. Chili dogs were a rite of passage, eaten after soccer games, beach days, or just because you could. Even now, the memory of that first, gloriously messy bite brings back a flood of carefree afternoons and endless laughter. Nothing said summer quite like a Jell-O pudding pop pulled straight from the freezer. Creamy, cold, and just the right amount of sweet, they were the perfect cure for a blazing California afternoon. Whether you grabbed chocolate, vanilla, or the iconic swirl, every pudding pop came wrapped in a frosty coat that promised a few minutes of pure bliss. They disappeared from shelves far too soon, but in the memories of every 80s kid, pudding pops remain a symbol of simpler times when happiness came on a stick and melted faster than you could eat it. Before taco salads and chalupas took over, there was the Bell Beefer Taco Bell's bold experiment of stuffing all the best taco flavors into a hamburger bun. It was messy, spicy, and absolutely perfect after a day spent riding bikes, skateboarding, or hanging out at the mall. One bite, and you knew you had found something different, something that felt a little rebellious, a little grown-up. The Bell Beefer didn't survive into the modern menu, but for those who remember, it's forever tied to nights filled with cheap eats, good friends, and the freedom of being young in 1980s California. In the 80s, California raisins weren't just something you found in your lunchbox, they were full-blown pop stars. With their smooth moves and unforgettable rendition of "I Heard It Through the Grapevine," these animated raisins became a cultural phenomenon. Kids didn't just snack on raisins, they collected the toys, sang the songs, and begged their parents for anything with those cool, shaded figures on it. It's almost impossible today to think about raisins without hearing that soulful tune in your head. Somehow, these tiny snacks managed to turn into a huge part of our childhood memories, a perfect symbol of the quirky, creative spirit of 80s California. Before it became a nationwide obsession, the In-N-Out Double-Double was a local legend, a treasured secret shared among Californians who knew where to find the best burger around. With 2 juicy patties, melted cheese, and the freshest ingredients you could imagine, it wasn't just fast food, it was a reward at the end of a long beach day or a skateboarding marathon. And if you knew to order it animal style, you were part of something special, something only true Californians understood. Even now, one bite of that double-double can take you straight back to those sun-soaked afternoons and neon-lit nights. Opening your lunchbox in the 80s and seeing a Capri Sunday pouch and a pack of Lunchables felt like winning the jackpot. Sure, stabbing that silver pouch with a tiny straw was a challenge worthy of an Olympic event. But once you tasted that sugary blast of juice, all was right with the world. Pair it with a DIY Lunchables pizza or crackers and cheese, and you weren't just eating, you were assembling your own masterpiece. It was the perfect fuel for recess adventures and backyard missions. A reminder that sometimes the smallest things made you feel like the coolest kid in California. Long before it became a nationwide trend, California kids in the 80s were already living in a world where avocados were everywhere. Mashed onto toast, sliced into sandwiches, mixed into salads, it was just a part of life. Many of us had avocado trees in the backyard or knew someone who did. And grabbing a ripe one right off the branch felt as normal as picking an apple. Back then, guacamole wasn't a trendy dip. It was a staple at every family barbecue, beach picnic, and after-school snack. The creamy, rich taste of fresh avocado was pure California, simple, sunny, and effortlessly cool, just like the childhoods we remember so fondly. Did you recognize these classic California flavors from the 80s? We'd love to hear your memories. Let us know in the comments which ones you remember and which ones you still miss today. Looking back, it's clear that California's food scene has evolved in so many ways. We've seen the rise of new trends, countless franchises, and fast-paced lifestyles that sometimes leave those simple, homemade tastes behind. Back then, food felt more personal. Fresh fruit from a roadside stand, a messy chili dog shared with friends, a sandwich stacked with backyard avocados. It was less about brands and more about moments. As we celebrate the new, let's not forget the charm of those classic places and flavors that once defined our childhoods. Maybe the world has changed, but the memories and those simple joys are something we can always hold on to.